Okay. So, how are you today? So, all I care about is space and UFOs and aliens and, you know, um, technology that has not been invented yet or discovered. All of those great things I love. And I love Mary Jane as well. But to get this started, today I want to get into the whole UAP thing because being someone who always has been into UFOs and the story of Roswell, New Mexico, and Area 51, anyone who ever has been into those things, you have heard those stories. So it's funny because now, this stuff didn't exist at one point. Okay, sorry about that. This stuff didn't exist at one point, and now all of a sudden, because I used to get into conversations with this all the time about this all the time with people. I would talk about it, I would research about it, I would watch movies on it, I would and it got me into science, it got me into physics, it got me into a lot of things just because I wanted to know what was out there. I went to school for it, things like that. And then as time went on, it's like it kind of died down. But my want and my need to know the truth never left. I always wanted to know, even though I eventually had to go to work. I had a kid, lived a regular life. I do music as well. Music is a big part of my life. So those things kind of distracted me from a lot of the research that I used to do, or it deterred me. I wouldn't say deterred me. It's just that I had to live a regular life. I had to, exist. I had to pay attention to people. I had to be a father. I had to work. But recently in the last few years, the government has started to disclose a lot of the things that we have always talked about. Like, for instance, anyone who has ever researched UFOs, you know who Dr. Stephen Greer is, and you know what the Disclosure Project is. You saw, if I bring, a picture from the Disclosure Project, which was a press conference in Washington D.C. It had to be in the early 2000s, and Dr. Stephen Greer was the person who put the whole thing together, and he researches UFOs and things of such. See if I can find a picture. There's Dr. Stephen Greer right here, and that's him right there again. So yeah, and this is the Disclosure Project. This is basically where a bunch of people came to a press conference, ex-military people, ex-naval officers, ex-scientists, ex just people who were in, ex-CIA agents, anything you can imagine, and told the truth about what we already knew. Told the truth about the things that we knew were going on in Area 51 and all of those things. And we, as time went on, those things, they started disclosing more and more. We started to figure out more and more. Like, there was dudes claiming that they fought alien greys, and I think his name was Al Bielek. He got his hand cut off, but they talked about one thing that was really interesting to me is that they actually talked about, what was it? What did they talk about? They talked about Project Blue Book. So Project Blue Book was something that they brought up during the Disclosure Project, and this is what gives the Disclosure Project a lot of validity to me, is because when you think about the things that people were saying there, and all of these unreleased documents and unclassified or declassified documents being released now, a lot of these projects and these specific black budget projects that these people were talking about were actually real. Because I forgot who said it. I don't know if it was Al Bielek. I don't know who was. Rest in peace. But one of those individuals who were a whistleblower on the Disclosure Project basically mentioned Project Blue Book. And years later, the Pentagon comes out and admits now that Project Blue Book exists. They have a whole bunch of files, declassified files, online. A lot of stuff is still blacked out. We're gonna take a look at some of these files or whatever. But a lot of this shit is still blacked out. So there's still a lot of shit missing. But they also told us that those are not even most of the files. Congress was supposed to give, someone, I forgot who it was. So let me see. UAPs. And they're actually called UAPs now. They're not called UFOs. And UAP stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. I don't understand why they would change it from UFO. They mean the same thing. But I think it's to get rid of the stigma of the whole alien, riding around the spacecraft thing, and kind of guide us towards it might be China type of thing, So I'm not really sure, but yeah. So we can see right here, okay, right here on the government website, we can see that they actually talk about it. And before we go look at the classified documents, you can see right here that it's available on a government website, okay? The Director of National Intelligence, okay? This was, and now mind you, this has been like this for the last 2 years now. They've been releasing this document. So this was released in June of 2021, which is fairly recent. So we have June 25th, 2021, and they basically have scopes, assumptions. Let's read a little bit of this. The preliminary report is provided by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence in response to the provision in Senate report accompanying the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 that the D&I, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense, is to submit the intelligence of the threat posed by unidentified aerial phenomenon and the Department of Defense Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force has made in understanding the threat. So first of all, one thing that's crazy is that they actually have a task force, which is crazy. I mean, they already admitted to Project Blue Book and shit like that, but they have an actual task force, which is fucking pretty cool. I mean, damn, I never thought that I would live to see the government actually, and actually still be quite young and actually live to see the government. Because I did think I was going to see it in my lifetime, but I thought it was going to be in my 40s and my 50s. Didn't think it was going to be when I, I think it was 20. I was 29 or 30 when this shit came out. You know what I'm saying? So didn't think it was gonna be that early. So the defense has an unidentified aerial phenomenon task force. Okay, and they one thing that is interesting to me is that it says in consultation with the Secretary of Defense is to submit an intelligence assessment of the threat posed by. See, the threat posed by. Why they automatically think of it as a threat because they possess technology. Whoever these beings are, that are intelligent beings that are controlling these machines. They possess superior technology that we don't possess at the moment. Therefore, they are a threat automatically. Instead of us saying, we have to learn from these motherfuckers, but it could be a threat. So I guess that is correct. So this report provides an overview for policymakers of the challenges. You know what? We're not even going to get into all of this, okay? Because all of this, you see that they're putting this into words now and putting it into government terms and certain terms that are, used when you want to. This is put out by them. That's all I'll say. And I will read it. But I wanted to get to some of the declassified documentations of the. I wanted to get to some of the declassified documentation. So. And the thing about it is I'm a horrible speller. So here. Mm. Okay, so we're gonna go to the Pentagon's website, and I think that's where they are. There's a lot of documents that's been released. Whistleblowers that have released shit online, other that doesn't even have to do with UFOs. But I just focus on UFOs because everything else is just human, has to do with humans. And since everything else has to do with humans, and human beings are just still like primitive in a lot of ways emotionally, and I just don't get involved with it because I just don't. So I just stay on the UFO side of things. And they don't seem to fuck with your channel if that's all you talk about. So, all right. So, where are these documents? Declassified documents. I saw the documents. They're in my other computer. I just don't really. Ooh, I didn't see this. So it says the government's long-awaited UFO report is here. Its findings. Hold on. It says something like the Navy confirms. Oh, hold up. Let's watch this. Let's watch this, guys. Get out of here. Oh, here we go.
To do this.
Little commercial. Let me take that out. I'm not trying to get any copyright infringements on that. I don't own the rights to whatever that was. And now we'll click on the sound. I think this is amazing. I think this is amazing. Because if you look right here, you can see a little aura right here. And because I haven't gotten to the science part. We're just getting to like, basically I'm just letting you guys know right now that like they admitted it. And anyone that studies this shit, like you already know this, but it's just we already know this shit, but people in the UFO community, we've gotten used to loving talking about stuff we already know. So yeah. But when we talk about things we already know, we always discover new facts over and over again. One thing that I like is this, because I believe this is a residual imprint of a magnetic field. And we're going to get into what I believe this is, because I don't even believe that they're using the same principles that we use. When we're in the air and we're driving, we're using a plane, we're like riding in a plane is using lift, is using the air. Even rockets are using oxygen to go to space. I don't think that they're using anything like that, and I think this is why they're able to break the laws of physics. But the reason why this whole thing basically, this whole live stream today was just for us to get into the USOs, which is underwater UAPs. And so we're going to get into that now. Okay, so let me just show, we have to grasp how big the ocean is. We have to grasp how big the ocean is and what water is, period, okay? And how water can be detrimental to a portal, and the way water works, and how conductive water is, and how our bodies are predominantly water on top of that. So we're going to get into the science of things first. But first, I want everyone to grasp how huge and how deep the ocean is. Because if you look at the Earth, it is pretty small compared to other bodies in the universe. But if you compare it to us, it is huge. So So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to show you guys, and shout out to
Google Ads,
Meta Ball Studios.
For your business is
Shout out to Meta Ball Studios for this. This is great. So they do this all the time. They got a whole bunch of different videos where they compare the sizes of things. I've seen this before on this channel, but we need to grasp the depth of the ocean and how much of our Earth is, how much of the Earth the ocean takes up. Crazy to see how big a blue whale is compared to a building. Crazy. Crazy. One thing I think we're gonna grasp from this video as well is how much, like, how easy it'd be for a city to be completely under there and we wouldn't be able to see it. The Eiffel Tower, this is nothing. So let's just go deeper, because I like to, sometimes I fast forward these videos. I'm ADHD, so ADHD is hell, so I always fast forward. But okay, so you see this? So look how small the Statue of Liberty looks at this depth. So I think you guys get the picture of how deep the ocean is. Okay, so we know that water is conductive, which means that the electrons can flow, they flow very easily and they're attracted to water. And electrical current can flow through water. So we got to look back at the principles of induction. What is induction? Induction is when an electron, when you have, okay, I'm gonna give you an example of induction. Say if I have a copper coil and say if I have a copper wire and I have a ring magnet, okay? This is to say this is a copper wire and this is a ring magnet, okay? And whenever I go like this, it's gonna create a small electrical current. If I was able to hook wires up to that and have it going into an LED, every time I go like this, the LED will flash. That's called induction. And that is the way our power, that's how we get our electricity. Okay? Our electricity happens through alternating current, through some type of rotating magnet inside of some type of conductive material, whether it's copper or whatever, that's going to be absorbing. So whenever a magnetic field moves around copper or any type of conductive material, it will induce a current inside of that conductive material. And my theory is that this conductive material was replaced the wire with water. Let's replace the moving magnet or the cylindrical magnet with the Earth's moving magnetic field, the Earth's iron cores. There has to be a point somewhere in the ocean where there's a massive amount of energy that is induced from this motion. And So before I get even more in depth to what I think the UFOs are doing, the UAPs are doing, I just want to remind you. Remember how deep the ocean is. Remember how conductive water is. Remember the Earth has a spinning, rotating magnetic field. Remember, you are 75% water. Water holds memory. If somebody did an experiment in Japan, think of something, I don't remember his whole name, but I know Moto was in his name, I believe. I'm not could be wrong. Water. Why would I type water holds Japan? Obviously, I mean, water does hold Japan. It's an island. But no, water has memory. That's what the hell I meant to say. Not have memory, has. Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic. Okay. So, this guy, I don't want to get into the whole thing. Okay, yeah, he is Masaru Emoto. I knew Emoto was in his name. So, he discovered that water has memory. And let's watch this video about how water has memory. Because we have to break down all the principles of water before we just get into how water works. And how it's going to work. So, I gotta let you know water has memory. So, I want to see if we can find a quick video that illustrates that. And a shout out to Mr. Scientific. I'll subscribe to Mr. Scientific. Okay. He studied the molecular structure of water. He wanted to know that. Does human thoughts and emotion have an impact on water? So basically what he did was he did experiments where he crystallized water, okay? And basically he would have, he would just test different frequencies on the water. He would put music of, happy music, then he'll put sad music on the water. He'll have somebody invoke an emotion of fear on the water. Have somebody invoke an emotion of pain or love on the water. And when he crystallized the water would resemble different geometrical patterns determined by the frequency that was projected on that water. So you'll see that if I fast forward here, this was love and gratitude. Evil. Yeah, see how that. Thank you. So we can see already that positive thoughts and stuff was able to basically determine the geometrical pattern of water, and that tells us that water has a memory. Okay, so it goes beyond that. If water. There's one experiment that still has scientists perplexed in quantum physics, and it's the two-slit buckyball, two-slit experiment, where basically, if I could sum it all up in a nutshell, basically they realized that an observer has an effect. Quantum physics approved that an observer, meaning you, me, a camera, anytime an observer can change the behavior of an electron. Can change the behavior of a particle. So that's one thing that's been having them perplexed, because they don't understand how an observer can have an effect on the behavior of a particle. But there's one thing, when I think about it, there's only one thing that mimics that, and that's water, with the Masaru Emoto experiment. It definitely mimics that two-slit experiment. The only thing about it is that water is not a particle. See, water is not a particle. Water consists of particles. Water is an actual material, an element that consists of hydrogen, and oxygen that is physically here in our third dimensional reality. It's physically here with us. We drink water. We need it to survive. Though particles are a part of our life and particles are a part of the building blocks of our universe, it is not something that is perceived within our five senses. We can't just see particles. We see them as material objects. We see them as the things that we see, but we don't actually see the actual particles. But water being something that is actually here, or something that we can see with our, it's something that we can manipulate. It shows me that other beings in the universe probably have mastered it. And let me let you know something else. A particle could be looked at as like an actual particle, like a ball of energy, or it can be looked at as a wave. And it also can be here and anywhere in the universe at once. One atom could be anywhere in the universe at once, at the same time. When you tap into that rhythm, that rhythm at the quantum level, when you tap into that rhythm at the molecular level, and you learn how that's timed, and you can duplicate that on a subatomic level, then you would be able to create a portal with water. But until then, you would never be able to do that. So you would basically, there's a lot that goes into this. But let me get back into, before I get too lost. So we're going to go back. A favorite theme of science fiction is the portal, an extraordinary opening in space or time that connects travelers to distant realms. A good portal is a shortcut, a guide, a door into the unknown. If only they actually existed. It turns out they do, sort of. And a NASA-funded researcher at the University of Iowa has figured out how to find them. We call them X points. Or electron, and one thing you gotta understand, guys, electron, you're gonna hear the word, like electrons are very important. Let me tell you why. Because atoms are the building blocks of our universe, of our physical reality. And every atom consists of a specific arrangement of electrons and protons. They taught us to look at those as particles, but I look at them as wave signatures. Okay? So, we all call them X points. Sorry, we call them X points. I'm a little dyslexic. We call them X points or electron diffusion regions. Explains plasma physicist Jack, whatever that name is, of the University of Iowa. They're places where magnetic field on Earth connects to the magnetic field of the sun, creating an uninterrupted path leading from our planet to the sun's atmosphere 93 million miles away. Maybe those specific points of what they talk about is the points of where you can teleport, if you can create the specific conditions. I don't believe that anyone or anything can just go there and teleport. I believe that your device or your vessel that you're in has to resonate at a specific frequency to be able to catch the ride of the wave. Because basically pretty much what it is a wave. Like if you think about a surfer like on a wave, you know what I'm saying? Like if it's just like a regular human being and we don't have a fucking surfboard and we're in the middle, like we're near the shore, we're just gonna like go under, bro. Or we're gonna fucking go under and float and up, and you know. But if you have a boat or something like that, the boat can actually ride that wave, or a person, or even a surfer can ride that wave, and that's pretty much what you're doing. But you can't look at it as actually riding a wave in this space or this time. Like in our space, in our version of space time, you can't think of riding an actual wave. This is a wave of energy. And the only way I believe to keep your body intact is to do it in water. Because water, you're 75% made out of water. And the particles can probably be put back together and reassembled without much damage. So, yeah. How can they do this? There's multiple ways I believe they can do this, but that's a whole nother live. That's a whole nother live stream. But right here, observers by NASA themed spacecraft and Europe cluster probes suggest that these magnetic portals open and close dozens of times each day. Dozens of times each day, huh? These magnetic portals close. People see UFOs hundreds of times a day, but I would only suspect that dozens of them are probably real. Dozens of times, okay. They're typically located a few tens of thousands of kilometers from Earth where the geomagnetic field meets. And I believe that some of these UFOs that you see can ride these waves, we can't see them with the physical eyes, but they can tune the atomic frequency of whatever metal that the vessel is made out of. I believe it's programmed. And they can, once it tunes to the specific frequency of these waves when they're in the ocean, at that moment when that X point touches, they can move, they can go, and they get this energy. And I also believe that it's not steered directly by them. I believe that they use AI, some type of AI. AI is very important. You have to understand, when human beings don't have to code no more and we create codes that code for us, things become different. But there's a lot of different principles in science that I believe that, like key principles that, like, I don't know what the fuck these UAPs are. Yeah, I have my theories, but I do think that the ones in the ocean use the ocean. I don't know how exactly I believe that they found a way to create or synthesize a metal that has the ability to resonate at whatever frequency input they put in it. It's like a special type of alloy. And it's not that complicated, I don't think. I don't think they're using all types of crazy like thrusters or no crazy chemicals. I think it's literally geometry. And the metal, I believe, is like programmed. These little tiny parts of the metal the metal is like thinking almost. The metal is almost sentient because it's weird because I feel like a lot of the things that I want to say, I don't think that there's not even ways to explain it in this language, but I'll try. I'll really try. I believe that like the metal that they created it somehow to where this metal takes shape, because of whatever shape the metal takes, it is aware that it is that shape. Like the metal itself is aware of its shape. And the metal can change the positive. And this is, I believe it's just as simple. The negative, it's like a cylindrical, perfectly smooth metal that can change the negative and positive charges anywhere on its shape in the 365-degree radius center access point. And if you know vortex math, I think that's how they do it. It's pretty much, if you understand how a vortex coil works, let me show you one. you know how a vortex coil works, then I believe this is not what I wanted to show you actually. I have one in my email, but it is kind of secret. Okay, here it is. So let me see if I can zoom in on this. It won't let me zoom in that way. I don't know how to zoom in, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to download this real quick. And I just wanted to show you, I believe this right here, because this is not just a donut, this is not just a torus. I believe everything in the universe resonates in this shape. If I could flip it around, let me show you. Okay, let me show you guys something. Because I honestly believe that this is what the metal is. The metal is basically this shape. The whole vessel is this shape. Let me make this big. Damn, you can't see it, but there's numbers, individual numbers that correspond with vortex mathematics. That's basically the way energy travels, all energy. At least it's trying to travel that way. I believe that when you create a vessel, and each individual point of your metal is aware of each point like this, boom, boom, each point, it can induce a negative or a positive charge on any of these points, then you can create a machine that can pretty much do anything. And it's a sentient, it could become a sentient machine. Let me see if I can find a bigger one so you can see how these numbers work. These numbers are crazy. I do understand it very well, but I can't explain it to you because it's something that you have to learn on your own. Let me see if I can type in my man, Randy Powell. Shout out to Randy Powell. Okay, Randy Powell donut. Boom. Okay, so these numbers right here, boom, right here, man, these numbers basically hold the key to, I believe the metal is programmed like this. It's metal, but I believe that they programmed the molecular structure, or through a certain electrolysis process, they change the molecular structure of a specific alloy with a certain number of these two or three metals, and they can recreate this donut. And each of these little boxes on this metal, there can be negative or positive induced charge. And this can basically be like a speaker. But instead of pushing sound out, it's pushing any frequency on the electromagnetic spectrum, because they have these superconductors that still use these same principles. And yeah, get into vortex mathematics. It's kind of confusing. It's not nothing you could just learn on the whim. You have to really, you have to really be about it. You have to really be about it. So, let's see. Yeah, so, so when it comes to the whole water thing, we have to remember water is conductive. It has memory. Scientists have proved, and I'm going to prove this to you right now, that the two-slit experiment is real. So scientists have proven that consciousness affects particles. So right here, in modern physics, the double-slit experiment is a demonstration that light and matter can display characteristics on both classically defined waves and particles. Moreover, it displays fundamentally problematic. It displays the fundamentally probabilistic nature of quantum mechanical phenomenon. They didn't put the part of the observer in there. But that's the pretty much that is just research it. You'll see that it's true. Consciousness or being aware of a particle changes the behavior of the particle. It just changes the path and the trajectory of a particle. Once you look at a particle, it becomes one particle, pretty much. And water, once you look at water and you project how you're feeling on it, the molecular structure of that changes. That's a proven experiment. Water is also conductive. Induction is real. This is the way we get our electricity. A magnetic field, spinning magnetic field, and some type of conductive material creates induction, along with the Earth's magnetic field, and the water, ocean's conductive. The ocean being conductive in the Earth's magnetic field. You can create a portal if you can. Basically, the emotions is just a weak. Emotions are just a frequency of living things. But remember, there's different frequencies. You have frequencies all over the whole electromagnetic spectrum. In conclusion, these UFOs use this to project any frequency in a 360-degree radius on all axes, from all axes points on the electromagnetic spectrum. So these things can do whatever they want. And the thing about it is, everything outside of this is protected from the inertia. Why? Because you're not moving through space. Only the magnetic field is. I would love to hear other people, people's take on this and stuff. Peace.